wife to her biggest fan and husband, Rowan. She's been recognized with multiple achievements over the years, to include every AAT she's been eligible for, the MVP challenge trip, and she is a top income earner. Please help me give her a huge round of applause as I welcome Ashley Strong to the stage.
Is your cup full right now? Do you feel empowered? Y'all, today has been amazing, but I'll tell you, if your cup runneth over, put some fizz in it and take a sip, because I got a little bit more for you today. All right? I get to talk about a topic that I love so much. You guys have heard a trend of it today. It's so important, and that's the topic of mindset. Y'all, mindset is so crucial to strengthen this business, because entrepreneurship is not for the weak. And none of us are weak. The good thing is we have the ability to exercise and to train our minds, and we have the choice of what we want to believe. So what do you believe about this business? What do you believe about you in this business? So those are two different things. Do you truly believe that you will get where you are destined to go? And are you reminding yourself every single day of not only what your goals are, but are you consciously putting forth the effort and the required level of action to meet them? Do you have a vision? Do you have a vision board? Do you know your team and your future team's vision? Are you stopping those self-limited beliefs and those thoughts when they enter your head? So I have any parents in the room? All right, so as you heard, I'm a new mama to a 1-year-old baby boy. He is the cutest kid in the world. I will fight anybody that thinks differently. But I think about, some of the self-limiting beliefs that I've allowed to creep into my head, and I think, what if someone said that to my baby? Wouldn't that change the way that you think about it? You wouldn't allow someone to speak like that to your children, right? So we have the choice of belief, and I'll tell you a few things that I believe. I believe that every one of you in this room has exactly what it takes to get where you're going and build this business big. And I believe that you're surrounded with people that will share their resources with you. I'll tell you something I don't believe that you're here by happenstance. Every one of us in this room came from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, and we all have different reasons that we said yes to this business. And we are all fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes, we are. And every one of us had to sacrifice something to be here. And so whatever you had to sacrifice, whatever you had to rearrange, whatever you had to figure out, what plans you had to move to get here, make it worth it. Yeah. Make it worth it. Don't just have cute notes in a notebook. Let's imply it and make it worth it, because you're not here by coincidence. And today you've been able to hear stories and see so many people recognized. And I hope that if you didn't walk this stage at least one time, that you see yourself in that lineup. I hope that you can envision yourself in that lineup, because God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. And you've been called. And so you have this gift, you have this opportunity. And the true test is, what are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? And that starts with our mindset. And so I wanna share today 8 mindset tips that I believe will not only help you shift in this business, but I think if you apply them, you'll see some shifts in your life. And so let's jump right into it. Number 1 is the mindset to live with intention. What does living your best life actually mean to you? Y'all heard that phrase? It's so catchy. I'm living my best life, But whatever that is for you, you're gonna achieve it not by posting a cutesy on Instagram that you're living your best life. You're gonna achieve it by action. And that action backed with intention, and then having the willingness to sustain, keyword, sustain that effort and that output over the long haul. And so y'all, this means that we decide to work until, period. Like there's nothing that comes after that until. We don't work to a promotion, we work through a promotion, right? We don't work to earn the trip or get a gift. We work through that and we grow through those achievements. Those are milestones, that's not the pinnacle. So every action that we take shows up in our business, but every inaction shows up even more. And so having that mindset of intention means that in everything you do, you ask yourself, does this help me build the kind of life that I want to live? Is this getting me closer to living my best life? So let me ask you this. What standard for your life do you need to develop today to have your dream life become a reality? And I use something that I call my 3 B's with this. And so when I'm asked to do things or maybe things that aren't in alignment with my goals, I ask myself, does this build my business, my belief, or my bank account? And if it's not a yes, it might have to be a no right now. This isn't a no forever, it's a season. But learning to say no to these things, keeping that intention, that's gonna empower you to pull away from the things that suck your time, your energy, your money. It's gonna help keep you focused because the temptation for fast and easy and cheap will always be there. But y'all, every temptation is an opportunity for transformation. Every time you overcome one of those temptations, you have that opportunity for transformation. So focus, have a clear picture of the things that you want in your future, and then work towards them with intention today. Number 2 is the mindset of extreme ownership. I love our theme, empower, and I'll tell you, when you know yourself, you become empowered. But when you own yourself, you become invincible. The buck stops with us. And I heard a training one time, and the speaker said, you're exactly where you want to be in this business, otherwise you'd be doing something about it. Now, I like a straight shooter, but that one stung a little bit. But you know what? It also inspired me because that's something that I can control. Where's my fellow control freaks? Any other control freaks? Okay, you're amongst your people. Welcome. But, you know, having that mindset, right, of extreme ownership, that means you own your work ethic. You own your attitude. You own your output. You own the way that you show up. You own learning the system. You own growing your team. You own your sales. You own the way you lead and love your team. That's extreme ownership. So no matter what standard was set for you, you get to set an even higher standard. You own it. Not your spouse, not your friends, not your family, not your upline. And dang sure not the dream stealers, the critics, and the haters. You own it. Extreme ownership, that's a reminder, y'all, that other people's lack of support has nothing to do with your success. It's not your business. It's not your business. So y'all, I love the saying, you know, if it's to be, it's up to me. My results are not typical. Go to earnings.arbonne.com to see what's typical. But I went district manager with no consultants. I went area with no districts. I went region with no areas, and I went nation with no regions. And so even though that's not typical, the takeaway that I want you to hear is that as a leader, and you're all leaders because your title does not make you a leader, your effort makes you a leader. As a leader, sometimes you have to go first. Sometimes you have to go alone. And sometimes you have to go alone until. But that's having that mindset of extreme ownership. Which leads me to number 3. And number 3 is the mindset of mastering the monotony. One of the hard truths, you know, about building this business is that it really is about mastering the monotony. And so to grow our business, we share, we sell, we sponsor, or enroll, repeat. Share, sell, enroll, repeat. And so monotony is not necessarily glamorous, but monotony is the way that legends are made. It's the work that we do in the dark, right? There's an incredible book called The Outliers. If you've never read it, I highly recommend adding it to your reading list. And the concept of the book is that it takes 10,000 hours or 10 years to truly master a skill. And so, can anybody in this room, probably very few, say that they have actively invested, and y'all, I mean invested, not just like watch the clock tick and let the time pass, but actively invested 10,000 hours or 10 active years building their Arbonne business? If not, then you haven't mastered it. And so you don't get to say that it didn't work for you. because you haven't mastered that monotony, right? You guys, I know that this 10,000 hour, 10-year story is true because I want to share a personal story. In July of 2006, this is way before I even knew what Arbonne was. It was shortly after I joined the Air Force. Within 3 months, I had 7 members of my family pass away from cancer. Within 3 months. Y'all like shook me, like to the core. I mean, it sounds so weird, and I'm like, they're dropping. I mean, they're just like, we're going to a funeral like every other week. And so it really shook me to my core, and I dove really, really deep into learning about health, learning about wellness. And for 4.5 years, I raised money by selling clothes out of my closet, taking things to Plato's Closet, having yard sales, recycling bottles, and y'all, I even baked banana bread, not healthy at all, but like Southern banana bread, you know, a lot of sugar, and I would sell it. Like I would sell banana bread, like it caught on. And so I raised money to be able to get my personal training certification, and then eventually my CrossFit level 1 certification, and then eventually my nutrition certification. But I invested a lot of time and a lot of effort into mastering my craft, building on that knowledge, because I wanted to be the cycle breaker of unhealthiness in my family. I wanted to be the cycle breaker, and so that was July of 2006. Do y'all know when I started Arbonne? July 2016. 10 years later, almost to the date. And so I already had a little bit of credibility when I joined, and so that might be the reason that some of my success came in the time that it did, but I had done 10 years of behind the scenes work. I'd invested the time. And so some of you have invested some before, but some of you might be on your investment journey right now. And that's okay. 10 years, 10,000 hours of behind the scenes work. So if you stay consistent, you keep your focus, you master that monotony, it just might be a game changer, not only for you, but maybe your family. Maybe breaking the cycle of your family. So number 4 is the mindset of adding value. Adding value. Isn't it such a blessing that, like, do y'all realize that's one of the great things that we get to do in Arbonne? Like, I get to add value to people, like, for a living. That's crazy. Like, what a blessing that is. When we add value to other people, we receive value in return. And so it's a beautiful cycle. Giving leads to getting, but it also leads us to growing as humans. And so I want to challenge you every day, every interaction, look for ways to add value to other people. Practice taking a real interest in other people and being authentic in your conversations with people. We got to recognize, like, it is not all about us. It's not all about us. Be more interested than interesting. And try, you know it's hard sometimes, put down your ego and your pride and try to actually see the world from somebody else's perspective. You just might learn something. Forgive, assume best intentions, have meaningful conversations. Does anybody really care to talk about the weather? Anybody? Like, do y'all love that? Do y'all love, how's the weather today? Like, have meaningful conversations, get some depth. Because when you focus on the value that you give to others, you start seeing their need. You've heard about that in training today, right? You see people's needs more clearly. When you can see their need, you can meet their need. And that's the law of attraction. It'll really start to work in your favor. Because that's what serving's all about. That's what serving is all about, is being a better human, showing up, and adding value to other people, which leads me to point number 5. Number 5 is the mindset of not being entitled. I might step on a little bit of toes here, but we're gonna do some church today, okay? One of the biggest leadership flaws in any organization, right, that I see take people down is thinking that you deserve or that you're entitled to something. Do you know Arbonne can never take anything from us because we're not owed anything? We're not owed anything. This business is efforts-based. And honestly, life is efforts-based. And that self-righteous thinking, it has no place here. It has no place here. It's hard to have a true appreciation for something handed to you on a silver platter. But man, there is so much pride to achieving the things that we worked hard for and we earned. Everybody that got to walk across the stage today, they worked hard and they earned something. That feels so much better than just, today's the day everybody promotes to MVP. Like, it's earned, and somewhere in our instant gratification world, we have started to really hype up quick and easy. But I want to glamorize making hard work sexy again. Like, let's freaking show up and be like, this is hot. This is sexy. Like, I'm working, you know? We gotta be very careful as we become successful. Oh, you were good. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. I can't read that fast. It's okay, we're gonna get there. Hard work sexy, yeah! Here we go. Sexy, sexy. Best did not approve that. Okay, we have to be... Leave it to me. We have to be really careful though, real talk, y'all. We have to be really careful as we become successful and have successful moments in this business to not get hoity-toity. Like, everybody has 15 minutes and it'll be up someday, and when you're in Walmart, you're just a shopper in Walmart. And so one thing my mama used to say, that's a Southern grandma for those that don't know what mamas are. She used to say, you know, hold your head up high, but keep your nose at a friendly level. And we can learn a lot from Southern grandmas, can't we? Because people see us through the lens of how we carry ourselves. And so the energy, the confidence, the attitude that we showcase, that's the energy, the confidence, and the attitude that we are going to attract. And so we gotta show up as good humans. If we want people to join us that don't mind hard work, guess what we gotta glamorize? If we want people to join us that are honest, that are grateful, that are humble, that are kind, that are fun, that are disciplined and consistent, we become it. That's who we have to show up as. This is about our ability to show the world how awesome you are. And you are awesome. You are freaking awesome. But you aren't owed anything. None of us are. Another Southern grandmaism is you're unique just like everybody else. You're special just like everybody else. But the world, this company, our upline, our clients, our network, none of them owe us anything. We earn it. And we earn it step by step from being kind to people, from extending that same level of grace that we desire to have. Don't we love getting some grace? And being extremely grateful for every opportunity that we get to share this business or share these products. Gratitude. Nobody owes listening to you. Gratitude. Every interaction is a chance to show what you bring to the table and exactly why you stand out from the rest, and keep that mindset of protecting our culture. You guys, that protects your own personal brand. Like, Ashley Strong is my brand. Your name is your brand, and you can protect that. Number 6 is the mindset of thinking and acting big. Thinking and acting big. One of the big differences, one of the major keys of successful people is that they show up as if. They show up as if. So whatever your goal is in this company, start showing up as that. If you're an area manager in the room, raise your hand. Keep your hand up if you want to be an executive national vice president. Start showing up as one. Do you have the habits of an executive national vice president? Because that's how you're going to accomplish it. You've heard, you dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. So you dress the part until you possess the part. You dress it until you possess it. This means thinking, acting bigger than we do right now, not being ashamed, not being fearful to step into our greatness. Because you guys, fear does not stop death, it stops life. And we don't have to see the way that we're gonna conquer the mountain. We just have to see how we're gonna take that first step. And then do it again, and then do it again. But what we don't get is the opportunity to complain that other people get the view from the top if you're not willing to make the climb. Because we weren't made to be mediocre in this world. So we can't let other people's inability to think big keep us playing small. That's not what we're here to show up for. So ask yourself, how can I show up bigger today? How can I go above and beyond? What obstacle am I actively working to overcome? What's my next target that I'm not gonna just like reach it, but I'm gonna crush it? Because some people come to be a player, some people come to dominate. I'm not here to be a player in the game, I wanna dominate. And I want you to dominate with me. So which one do you wanna be? and that's where you're aiming. What simple verbiage tweaks can you make today? Maybe little things, right? This is little mindset habits. Instead of why can't I, how can I? Instead of my problem is, who shared their problem this weekend? You know, my problem is. How about instead of my problem is, the pattern that I need to break is? Come on now, we're churching. Instead of I'm struggling with, I'm conquering. I'm not in a struggle, I'm mid-conquer. Instead of I don't have time, it's not my priority. And think about those simple verbiage tweaks and how that will change your mindset. But know that along this journey, there may be roadblocks. And that leads me to tip number 7. Number 7 is the mindset of failing towards success. Failing towards success. Success is not the absence of failure. Failure is actually a necessity of success. But the trick is that failure is also about how we frame it. And so I'll tell you an example. I don't see my failures as a fault that I can never live down because it's not personal. My approach failed, but I'm not a failure, right? Like I found mistakes and now I get to learn from them. That's success. We as people don't fail, we have failures. We are not failure, it's a verb. It's not us, it's not a definition. And so failure is usually only difficult, or we package it as difficult when our ego blinds us to the lessons that we were supposed to learn through it. So how about we just analyze the situation, we see where it went wrong, we fine tune it, and then we get back to business. We just get back to business because people that have failed a lot, they don't fear failure as much as people that have only tasted success. And I always think about like how many times, and y'all, that can be a whole nother training for another day, how many times I have jacked up in this business. Like I've dropped the ball, I've said the wrong thing, I've did a terrible presentation, I've given a horrible speech, I've used spammy copy and paste messages, like you name it. I've done it and I've got it wrong. And so has every other MVP in this room. But it makes me better. It makes all of us better because every time I fail, rows 4 and 5 of Strong Nation, they get a better leader. They get a better leader every single time I fail. And I just imagine, like, when I was a new consultant, maybe going to my sponsor, Executive National Vice President Sarah Handy, and saying, you know, oh, I've got this problem. Like, what if she would have said, oh, honey, that is so terrible. That has never happened to me. Good luck. I hope you can figure it out. It'll be a real good story for a training one day. Right? Like, no. She locked arms with me. And what she taught me is that leaders fail first and they fail often, so that road is paved smoother for the people that come behind them. Number 8 is the mindset of your why. The mindset of your why. So I want you to take a moment and really think, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Like truly, what is my goal here? And y'all, understanding your why will help to inform your purpose, which helps to tap into those deeper motivations. This is like key to understanding how to achieve the things that you really want in life, because we're not always gonna have a strong support system. And even your strong support system might not be on board every day. We're not always gonna have our upline. We're not always gonna have this amazing Path to Empower event to hype us up. And so instead of waiting for motivation, we need to remember our why and get into activation. Motivation goes into hibernation when you get into a tough situation, but when you have a reason why, you reach activation, which breeds inspiration that leads to your destination, and then you can stand up and declare your proclamation. Y'all didn't know I was about to rapper too, did you? Some of y'all did, you're like, this week. But y'all, even if your why feels small right now, go after it with relentless passion. When I first started, I didn't have a why that made me cry. I didn't. I wanted organic produce. I was living in Colorado Springs and I wanted to shop at the farmer's market with the bougie people. And so I wanted organic produce and I wanted to have a date night with my husband without using the B word, budget. And so I worked hard and I achieved it. And then my why grew. And then I worked hard and I achieved my next one, and then it grew. And then I worked hard, and then I achieved my next one. But y'all, I didn't have a why that moved something inside of me until I was in Region Qual. And if you know a little bit about my story, you may know that I grew up homeless, and very often we would live in homeless shelters. And there would be times that my mama and me and my sister and baby brother, we would pile up in my mama's car, and we would be in our pajamas, and we would grab like a blanket or a sleeping bag, and my mama would be like, "We're going on a road trip," and we would be so excited. Like, it would be so much fun. And we would do this very often. And so it wasn't until I was probably 9 years old that I realized on one of these road trips that we had passed the same rest area a few times. There was a big red truck, and I kept seeing it, so it caught my eye. And I was 9 years old, and I looked over at my mom and I said, "Why are we driving in circles? We've passed this rest area." It was at that moment that I could see the pain in her eyes. And I realized that we were not on a road trip. We were homeless, and we didn't have anywhere to stay that night. And the times that we could afford to stay at the shelter, we got a hot and a cot, and we were so grateful for it. But it was a hot and a cot. And I grew to have a vision that maybe one day I could break another cycle in my family. And so I took a snapshot of that picture of my mama's face, and I put it in my pocket, and then I got to work. You guys, pain can be an incredible driver to your dreams if you conquer it and you don't allow it to cripple you, but you use it as your fuel, it's your gasoline. And I don't know what your pain point is today. Maybe it's something very close to home for you, like it was for me, but maybe you have an incredibly blessed life and you don't have wants and needs, and that's incredible. But I'd invite you to take a look around the world, and maybe you just take a look around this room. Because I promise you, there's somebody in this room right now that needs extra. There's somebody in this room right now that needs a little bit of cushion. There's somebody in this room right now that came here because somebody told them Arbonne can be the vehicle to get you what you want. That can be the pathway. And guess how we can help? We can be the proof that it's possible. We can make believers out of critics. I wanted a world with shelters. I'd love a world with no shelters, but I wanted a world with shelters that had more than just a hot and a cot. And now, you guys, because I've kept the right mindset, because I've worked with intention, because I took extreme ownership over every step of my business, because I still master the monotony, and I find ways to add value to other people, and I'm not entitled, and I think and I act big and I embrace my failures. My incredible team and I now get to sponsor a women and children's shelter called Mary's Home. And you guys, we're able to provide so much more than a hot and a cot. The women that live in Mary's Home, they have fully furnished apartments. They get resume writing classes, they get financial advisement, they get life skills courses, they get free access to medical care, mental health outreach, and the best part is they get to keep their babies there with them. And so your decision today to fully commit and build this business bigger than maybe you think you should right now can truly be the gift of a lifetime for someone that you haven't even met yet. Because if y'all noticed in our world, we need some leadership help. And the world needs you to show up. The world needs you to stay consistent. You guys, even when you don't see the immediate results, you're the voice. You are the voice. Not me, not anybody else that's been up here. You are the voice that someone needs out there right now to hear. You're the only voice that can change somebody's circumstances right now. You're empowered. You're empowered. You guys do more so you can be more, so you can have more, so that you can give more. That's what it's about.